everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing some stretching. So over the years, since I was pretty young, I've had various different kind of back pain, sciatic pain in different areas, and over the years I've really started to get to know my body more and understand what stretches help to relieve it, what things can aggravate it. And today I want to share a couple of the stretches that I do pretty much on a daily basis that really help any low back pain or sciatic pain, which is kind of glute pain which runs down the leg, or kind of just hip psoas pain. Low back pain and sciatic pain can be caused by a host of different things. So these are just things that help me with my particular injuries and things that I've encountered being kind of upset and tight in my body. What may work for me may not work for you, so just kind of take everything with a grain of salt. Maybe try it out if it's not what's working for you, and then maybe there are other stretches and things that will work with your body type and the reason why you may have low back pain. So we'll start with my favorite, which is doing just a low lunge. So coming here, stepping 1 foot forward, keeping the back knee on the ground. You will begin to, if you lean forward, you'll feel a stretch in the front of your quad here in the TFL. So the TFL for me is something that's been super tight and can get tight when you are sitting down for a long period of time, sitting in the car, working at a desk, things like that. So by really doing low lunges, we can get into this front muscle and start to open it up. And what happens is the TFL here is connected to our low back through our psoas, and it can really altogether cause some low back pain. You can either stay here, feeling a stretch here, or lift up the back knee, which I love to do, grabbing the foot in behind, and by pushing away or pushing in here, pushing this towards your glute, you'll feel an even greater stretch all through here. Mindfully here though, you want to make sure that you're not dumping into the back, leaning forward too much. You want to ensure that your tailbone is tucked, but you're really still getting that deep stretch in here. Sometimes I'll lean to one side so it gets deeper into not just the TFL but also the psoas right here, which is kind of right above your hip bone, this like deep tissue right here. And this is just one of my favorites, so I would recommend, even if you only have back pain on one side, to do it on both so that you make sure that you're evening it out. So this is just one posture, one stretch, and again I would do it on the other side, putting forward, lifting the back knee if you can. If it hurts your knee, you can always double up on the mat like so. So doubling up, putting so there's two parts of the mat on below your knee, and then coming up so that it doesn't hurt your knee. The next stretch I like to do is similar, and it is the lizard pose. So again, we'll come back onto all fours and then step forward. This time with both of your hands on the outside of your right foot. You'll kind of push back your back left knee so that you're coming forward and you're supported with your hands this time. So this really gets a deep stretch into, again, the TFL, your hip flexor here, as well as the inner groin on the opposite side. Why I like lizard stretch as a variation towards the lunge that we did before is that it also gets into the inner groin and inner hamstring here, which you don't necessarily get all the time when you do the other stretch. Now the next one that we have is my pretty much all-time favorite. It can be a little bit difficult to do if you maybe have an injured knee or something like that. Also, if one hip is extremely tight here, kind of on the hip flexor, then it might not be as comfortable, and it might, if it's pinchy at all, then I suggest definitely keeping with either the lizard or the lunge, which aren't quite as intense on the hip or on the knee. But if both are fine, then I definitely suggest doing the next one, which is pigeon pose. So coming forward, you can come into this posture from a lot of different ways. Often people come from this posture from downward dog into pigeon, but we'll just kind of come forward into our pigeon here. We're putting one leg out in front, bending it to about 45 degrees. If you can do 90 degrees, I'll go for it, but it's a little bit tricky. So bringing this forward 90 degrees extending your other leg back behind you, and then coming forward so that you're sitting, not quite sitting, but you're in the center of the both of your hips. So you're quite level here, and either coming up like this, upright pigeon, you should feel a big deep stretch on your psoas and the hip flexor here. So what I like about this stretch is that it both gets the hip flexor on one side because you're opening up, and then on the other side you're getting a deep glute stretch on the other side with the leg that's bent. So you can kind of stay upright here if this feels good for you. If you want to deepen that psoas, I find that staying upright is best. Or if you want to get more into the glute, you can come forward into a sleeping pigeon, and that'll even further give you a big stretch on the right side of that glute. So coming down, maybe resting the head. And in this posture, it's really important that we are protecting the knee. So if you feel any knee pain, you can always come into a different variation of this, and we always want to be flexing our foot of the bent leg so that we don't injure the knee at all. So another example of a variation you could do is maybe coming here to a seated figure 4. You'll still get the same glute activation if you bring one ankle to the opposite knee and then push here, getting a deep stretch there. So this kind of motion helps to really get into the glute of this side. You could do it from seated or from your back, like so. So that's pigeon. It's a little bit intense, so again, if you feel any pain there, always take a variation of figure 4, which is this kind of motion where your one leg is bent at a 45-degree angle. Now, one of my favorites that I've started to love more recently because I didn't realize how much it affected me is a side body stretch. So this side body, your muscles here are connected to your low back, your psoas here, they're really all interconnected, and it's important to not just be opening the front and your back body, but also your side body. So one stretch I love to do is putting one hand down, so dropping one hand down to the ground and lifting the other up to the sky if possible, and then feeling a nice elongation on the opposite side that you stretch. So you should feel it right in here, in kind of your low side of the opposite side. And breathing here, feeling yourself kind of go further into the pose as you exhale. And doing it on the opposite side. Obviously we always want to keep a balance when we're doing our yoga and our stretches. Doing it on the other side, even if one side is more tight than the other, it's important that we keep balance and stretch on both sides. With our next pose, we are really going to be opening the front body a lot, getting a nice back bend. As always, with any pain that you have, it's good to do kind of the opposites, especially with our hips and low back and sciatic pain. It's often not just the front body or the back body that is what's tight, it's a combination, so we need to open both sides. So here we're going to be opening up the psoas, the TFL, lengthening those areas. So by doing cobra, coming down onto the stomach, hands beside your chest, and then lifting up. Getting a nice back strengthening, and lengthening through this area. Cobra is one variation. You can also get it even deeper by coming up into up dog. And it's always good to counteract this afterwards by coming back into a child's pose. The next stretch I have for you is more of a sequence of postures that I do together, which help to really bring extra blood flow and energy throughout the body. While the other poses were more static poses that you hold for a period of time, the next is a sequence that helps to kind of move the energy and loosen up the muscles by doing it kind of dynamically. So moving with the breath, moving dynamically in between postures. So it's postures that I've already shown you. It is the up dog as well as the child's pose. So moving, kind of sitting on your heels at the back of your mat or wherever you're stretching, coming up, really giving a nice back bend by stretching back, and then on your exhale, coming forward into a child's pose, and then on your inhale, coming forward into upward dog. So you're getting that opposite opening of the hips throughout this movement, and you can kind of do this quite quickly. So inhaling up, exhaling child's pose, inhaling upward dog, and exhaling, sitting back on the heels. And by just repeating that several times, you really start to open up the hips without putting a lot of strain on it, and it's bringing more blood flow, more energy to those areas. For the next stretch, you are going to need a strap or a tie. You can always use like a men's tie as a strap, which is really easy, really accessible for everyone. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Mine certainly isn't anything fancy. But the next stretch that we're doing is, again, more of like a dynamic movement, and it's really to help open up your hips, getting a big range of motion that we don't usually get. So coming down onto your back, letting one leg kind of splay out in front, and then tucking the other and clasping your strap around the sole of the foot, clasping the end with both hands, and starting to do circles with the hips. So really, with your hands grabbing onto the strap, really using the support of your arms to let your leg kind of fall in either direction, not needing to use your abs here, really letting your arms move your hips in either direction, trying to keep both of your sit bones on the mat here. Doing this motion really helps to open the psoas as well as your hip flexors. This is a range of motion that we don't really get, especially on this range of motion doing this adduction, which is kind of moving over to the opposite side. A lot of the reason we sometimes get sciatic pain is that there's a pinching of the nerve in here or along our back, and that's because a muscle is tight and we're not getting the correct or full range of motion. And again, always do that on both sides so that you can really make sure you're balancing out. So those are all the stretches I had for you today. There's obviously tons more that can help your low back by opening up your hips, by opening up your glutes and your quads and your psoas. These are really big muscles that play a huge role in helping us move throughout the day and supporting our low back. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know down in the comments. Again, this is just what helps with my body, the main key stretches. But again, as people have back issues for different reasons, for me, a lot of the time it's a tight quads and a psoas. That's why I really focus on opening my hips up. But back pain can be for different reasons. So really keep that in mind when you're doing your stretches, trying different things out and really getting to know your own body and how it works and what stretches work for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Have a great day.